Hey guys, this is Mike from Boca Film Studios, and I got an extremely exciting package in the mail today. The Mavic 2 Pro. So I have to start by apologizing that this probably looks really shadowy and whatever, and that's literally because it is late at night. I got this drone today, and I was just really excited to create a video and talk about my first impressions. So yeah, whatever, for what it's worth. Man, when I saw the specs on the Mavic 2 Pro, Mavic Pro 2, the Mavic Pro, why is it called the Mavic 2 Pro and not the Mavic Pro 2? I got really excited about the specs of it because of the fact that I actually was really considering taking a look at a bigger drone on top of what I currently have, which is the Mavic Air. To have something that you can fold and kind of travel with you, as opposed to taking the huge case of the Phantom 4 Pro, is really quite incredible. Now, there's a whole bunch of things that people have already talked about that I'm positive are new to people that are watching this video. I always want to look at this from the perspective of a wedding filmmaker, but I'll go over some of the specs just because that's, I guess, what you're supposed to do. One of the rumors that was absolutely true is that it now comes with a 1-inch sensor. That is huge. It's something that we really haven't had in a compact drone like this before, and it's just gonna end up making our images look that much sharper. All the things that we kind of complained about when we had some of the high dynamic range issues with things from bright to dark in the original Mavic Pro, a lot of that has really been taken care of. The Mavic Air did a great job trying to get up to that 100 megabits, but the 1-inch sensor is just really going to dramatically change the fact that our images are just gonna look better. Yeah, it's a 1-inch sensor by this Hasselblad, whatever. Everybody's talking about it like, oh yeah, Hasselblad. I have no idea what that is, but they've been around for a really long time. It's a company that obviously has a lot to do with engineering this part of the drone. I'm so glad that DJI partnered up with them to make this happen for us, because we as the consumers are we get the best of the best in this type of compact drone, and that's huge. There's two things that really just blow this thing out of the water. The first is that it is a 10-bit system. My Sony a7 III isn't even a 10-bit system, it's an 8-bit system. And what the heck does that even mean? It really comes down to the color science. You're really able to manipulate the picture that much more in a 10-bit system. You're getting more detail in the things that you're taking a look at. It's incredible that DJI has something like that for us. I'm really impressed by it. The other thing that was obviously my biggest contention with the Mavic Air, although with something that small, I guess you can't complain that much, that is the battery life. I am so happy that DJI claims for this to have a 31-minute flight time. That is amazing. That's tremendous. I think that it's really hard by the time you get your drone up in the air, set it up the right way, and start doing some of your motion shots. I think it's really hard to get anything effective in 12 minutes or 14 minutes, whatever you really got out of the Mavic Air. I think that 31 minutes of flight time is unbelievable. Even with that 31 minutes of flight time and a single battery, I still went out and I got the Fly More pack. It's something that I really enjoyed and loved about the Mavic Air, and so I spent the extra money to get the Fly More pack in this. The additional batteries are really darn close to $100. I can't think of it off the top of my head. And so for just a little bit more than that, you're able to get 2 additional batteries, a bunch of propellers, a different charge port, something that works in a car, a couple other nice things that just are really good to have, and a little carrying case. Actually, here it is. I mean, I've got everything in this right now. I've got the drone, the controller, everything else in here. And speaking of the controller, they made sort of like a hybrid controller between the Mavic Air and the Mavic Pro, the first version. You'll notice that the little thumbsticks, the little joysticks are detachable just like the Mavic Air. That, to me, it's little things like that that I really appreciate about DJI, because now you can just store this so much easier than the original Mavic Pro. But you'll notice that there is a screen again. There's a lot of additional details that you can get with this, and the original Mavic Pro had this, but the Mavic Air did not. So it's kind of this nice hybrid of all these different things that DJI took time and care putting into, and I appreciate that a ton. I also hear a lot of people complain that this isn't a 4K image at 60 frames per second. I think I get that argument, but part of me says, you know what, there's a lot that you can do with a 4K 1-inch sensor, 10-bit picture, and I don't know that I'm gonna complain that much about it not having 60 frames per second at 4K. Okay, so here it is. Here is the Mavic Pro 2. It looks very similar to the original Mavic Pro. It's freaking big. Yeah, the cover is actually really difficult to get on and off. So here it is. Here is the drone. It is, it's pretty incredible, honestly. One of the things that you notice pretty much right away is that it's got a little extra weight to it. It's heavier for sure than the Mavic Air, but it is actually heavier than the Mavic Pro, the first version. I'm okay with that. I don't really care. I flew this today and I was really astonished. I think I forgot how much I missed the stability of the original Mavic Pro compared to the Mavic Air. It was very windy today. The entire time I flew this, it was, I got a lot of wind warnings. And I mean, the images are so stable. I actually really miss a drone that's got a little bit of extra weight to it. That really can withstand pretty high winds. So a couple other improvements that they made to the Mavic 2 as compared to the Mavic 1 and even the Mavic Air. You'll notice all over the body of the drone that there are sensors all over the place. There's sensors on the sides, which the Mavic Air actually doesn't have. I saw a lot of people try to do like parallax shots, so it kind of does like one of these things around. But I would see people get in trouble doing that because there was no side sensors. But now we've got, you know, sensors on the side. We've got a sensor on the top. We've got sensors, you know, all over this thing that really help to ensure that you're being pretty safe. I read, and I don't know this for a fact, but I'm pretty sure that some of the sensors, especially the ones on the sides, don't work unless you're in an intelligent flight mode. So obviously line of sight, all those things that you need to do to make sure that you're flying safely. But yeah, you'll notice it's considerably larger than the Mavic Air. Its wingspan is quite big. And I mean, that really just helps honestly with stability and speed. I think that this is a real tremendous unit. It's something I'm so glad that I have. And I just can't wait to use it more. I only had a second tonight to use it. One of the other things I was really excited about was to try its new hyperlapse feature. And I did, and I loved it. I thought it was excellent. Again, I just used it just tonight, just for fun. And one of the things that it did is it switches everything over to manual mode, which for a first take is fine. And in the hyperlapse, you actually get to set the intervals, and then you pick the length of time that you want your hyperlapse to be, and then it configures how long of a flight that's going to end up being, and all those different things built right in. You don't have to really do math, to be honest. I set it for an 8-second video, and I think I had it at 5-second interval or something like that. I think it was a 5-second interval, and it was 18 minutes and or 16 minutes. But either way, it was really long. I was able to fly, do an awful lot of stuff, and then still do the hyperlapse before it ran out of battery. I did everything in one battery. Now, obviously the battery warning went off and it was threatening to land, and that actually scared the crap out of me, but everything was fine. So for me as a wedding filmmaker, there's an awful lot of things that I can do with this drone that I really honestly couldn't do with the Mavic Air or even the Mavic Pro. You know, I honestly got a little bit frustrated with some of the quality issues in the Mavic Air and the Mavic Pro. This sensor and this drone is really going to help step up the game. I mean, we're talking about really powerful mirrorless cameras that we use for our weddings now, and we don't really want that drop off when we get those nice beautiful drone shots. especially since we've got sky space that is super bright and ground space that can be very dark. We want something that can handle both ranges of contrast. And we also want to make sure that we're able to capture that saturation, whether we're getting a lot of saturation right from the drone itself or we're using a color space where it's desaturated quite a bit and then we fix it in post. We really want drone images that match the amazing capabilities of our mirrorless cameras. So kind of to sum all this up, how is this drone going to make me a better filmmaker? First of all, I'm going to get an image that's a lot closer to what it is that I'm using right out of my Sony cameras. The second thing is the battery life. At every location that I'm at, I don't need to even use one full battery to get everything that I need. That saves me time. That actually even saves me space if I don't want to take all 3 batteries, but let's be honest, I'm going to take all 3 batteries. The speed and the durability and the ability for it to withstand really good winds is another thing that's really going to be an advantage for my images and the things that I can take with this drone. The next thing is really going to be all of the intelligent flight modes that the Mavic Air had, but also with now the hyperlapse feature. I don't know how often I would use that for weddings, but I definitely know that I will attempt to try to use it for several commercial projects and things that maybe even just personal videos that I want to use. I actually feel a little bit more safe flying this drone with all the different sensors, with again its weight and its ability in windy situations. The battery life, of course, is not going to run out, so I'm not going to get it stuck in a tree. Who would do that? But I'm really impressed with the enormous sensor. I'm really impressed with the battery life. Really impressed with the additional intelligent flight modes. I mean, you can even do a parallax style hyperlapse. I mean, I haven't tried that yet, but I'm super excited for all of the different modes. It's just expanded that much more. And honestly, those are the things that are going to make it easier as a wedding filmmaker to set the drone up, hit a button, and make it run. I could even probably, while I'm paying attention, of course, get to some of the other stuff that I need to get to without having to just constantly try to fly this perfectly every single time. Well, that's it for the Mavic 2 Pro. Mavic, it still sounds so weird to say. Well, that's it for the Mavic 2 Pro. Quick first look, unboxing. I think that this is just going to be an amazing drone, and I just can't believe that this is better than the Phantom 4 Pro. I was really considering taking a look at if they came out with a Phantom 5, and maybe I still will, but I really love that this little guy, and it's not as little, but that this is just as good as something that people were paying a ton of money for. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I promise you that I will have another one really looking at the footage and maybe even looking at the color space of the footage and maybe just the best settings once I really play with it a little bit more. I hope you enjoyed this, and I really hope that you'll think to subscribe. There are just so many cool things that we've got going on at Bokeh Film Studios, and we'd love to just have you along for the ride. Thanks so much for watching. Happy filmmaking.